Hello to my friends out there in YouTube land. It's your old buddy Lee, here to harangue you tonight again. I was just thinking about the YouTube channel and why people make YouTube channels and what they discuss on YouTube channels. And it seems to me that you'd want to discuss things that you know a little bit about so that you'd have something to talk to the people with. You know, like something that you've done in a job or a hobby or something that's nearby where you live, something you're familiar with. Maybe you're even an expert at it, you know. So anyway, that's kind of what I've tried to do is discuss things that I know about. So far I've covered my writing of my stories and introduced some of the video shorts in regard to those stories, and I've put up a couple of genealogy videos because that's one of my hobbies. But also another one of my hobbies that I'd like to introduce to my channel is my interest in tarot and tarot card readings. This is my own personal tarot deck here, the Deviant Moon Tarot set. It's made by a fella named Patrick Valenza. He's obviously a fantastic artist, and he's taken the 78 cards of the tarot deck, the standard deck, and kind of made it his own. He's done artistic interpretations of all the cards in the deck and created new images, but they're based on the symbols and the meaning of the symbols. So he's stayed true to what the deck is supposed to be about. You know, the king, the queen, the jack, the death card, all that stuff's in here, and his own interpretation of it. He did a fantastic job, and I'm glad that I got the deck that I did. I kind of like that spaced out art. It looked kind of cool, you know. Here's one of the cards here, the King of Swords. And I know you can't see it close up in the video, but it's really a cool looking card. And you can find pictures of all these different tarot decks on your computer or on your phone or what have you. This one, like I said, is the set that is my own personal set, the Deviant Moon set. And I love the art in it because it's weird. And you have to kind of look closely and examine them and let your eye lead you around so you can see the different things that the art contains. Also, we'll discuss the tarot in general in the next coming videos over the coming weeks. Keep in mind there's 78 cards in a standard tarot deck. The tarot deck became popular, a resurgence in the early 70s in the United States because people started getting into all the weird occult and supernatural stuff. I think it was in the movies and news stories about these cults that started having devil worshipping and all this weird stuff. The California and all that. Major movies about the occult and supernatural that became hits. So the tarot thing caught on. All of a sudden you had tarot parlors in cities and people would go in and have their tarot cards read. In the beginning, people believed that there was supernatural powers at play. Here's another card here. This one suit happens to be the Wands. And the tarot cards are really based on regular playing cards from medieval times in Europe. There's 4 suits, you know, the diamonds, hearts, clubs, and spades, and regular playing cards. And in the tarot deck, the 4 suits are the wands, pentacles, cups, and swords. And just like the regular deck of playing cards, there's a king and a queen and a jack, and that in the modern tarot deck. Actually, I say modern tarot deck, but the tarot deck goes way back to medieval Europe. And to tell you a little side thing is that I'm currently outlining a story about the guy who created the tarot deck in France in the Middle Ages. I'm going to write a story about him and his associates. It's in the works. I probably could come up with a little video short about that story, but getting back to the tarot thing here, back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, tarot decks weren't widely available, and people were interested, and generally speaking, women would learn about the tarot deck, and then they would use playing cards to read people's fortunes. Over the years, when I was a kid, my grandmother had a neighbor that read the playing cards as though it was a tarot deck. And you know, even though it was a deck of playing cards, there was something about her when she read them, all of a sudden you were transported to another place where you really believed that whatever she was saying was gospel truth, you know. You started believing that she had some kind of a vision into the future just by her demeanor and the things that she said and how she acted. She was a unusual woman with unusual beliefs. This was back in the mid-60s when I happened to have met her for a couple of different times. She'd pull out that deck and start reading people's fortunes. And you know, what was funny was that word spread, and everybody in the neighborhood wanted her to read their fortune. And a lot of them would say, oh, well, we don't really believe it, but we'd like to hear it anyway because it's kind of entertaining. But I think that a lot of them actually did take it to heart and believe that she had some kind of a supernatural insight. It's been a long time and I was just a kid, but that was my impression that I have now all these years later. Years went by, and when I was going to junior high school, one of my classmates, her mother was a little on the older side. She had had a child later in life, so to speak, probably when she was 40. And this gal that I knew, her mother read the playing cards like it was a tarot deck too. And she had that same kind of persona that she could really make you feel like what you were experiencing was genuine. And these ladies, they kind of seemed to push the supernatural power of tarot. That there was mysticism there, and it was a cult, and it was some kind of power from outside of the natural scheme of things. And people believed in that stuff, particularly earlier. Then as time went by, tarot started growing up, and people started to look at it differently. It became almost a psychological tool that you'd show people images of the tarot cards and what the symbolism of the card was, and they'd make mental associations. Like Carl Jung, the guy who studied people's minds and their subconscious and that. A picture of a bear was a symbol of something that was associated with maybe a threat, something that was dangerous. Like a symbol of a snake was untrustworthy. The things that if I mentioned an animal, you would associate different types of traits with that animal. Like a snake. A snake was untrustworthy. they were dangerous. They had certain characteristics that were undesirable. And all the other kinds of animals, rabbits and chickens and eagles and all these things have symbolism attached to them. It's really a complicated thing. You'd almost have to get an encyclopedia of symbols and go through and look at what they mean, because they have a basic meaning, but they also have different meanings on the side where they could possibly mean this and that. It's like dreams and analyzing dreams. If you have a dream about being bit by a snake, the psychiatrist would talk to you and ask you about the different things that are going on in your life and what meaning that snake has. Is it symbolizing somebody in your life that might be doing something to you, or you believe they're doing something to you? Well, anyway, let me show you another one of the cards. This is the Queen of Cups. And you can see how arty the cards are. They're really beautiful. And they're loaded with symbolism. And sometimes these cards are even looked at for their content of their color and their imagery over and above just the symbols. And then on top of that, they have their old classic meaning that has been around for hundreds of years. Some of the cards, like the Star card, is one of the best cards that anybody could ever have drawn in a tarot card reading. Typically, tarot card readings are 3 cards are drawn. Past, present, and future. Sometimes problem, solution, result. It just depends on what the person who wants the tarot card reading, what they're looking for. They'll have a discussion with the tarot card reader, and then they'll agree on these 3 cards will be drawn, and they'll represent these 3 different things to you. Let's just go with past, present, and future, because that's one of the common. And so the 3 cards are drawn. The first card will represent your past, or some aspects of your past. Second card, the present. The third card, the future. And then sometimes a 4th card is drawn just to have a little insight on the other 3. So anyway, my plan is to bring in the tarot cards into my channel and give it a try and see what people think of it. It has a lot of interesting facets to it, and I think that a lot of you might be interested to hear some of the stories about the history of tarot cards, some of the famous people that have been interested in tarot cards, the use and belief in tarot cards today in 2026. They're used a lot more widely than you might think. A lot of psychologists are using them nowadays because they give them insights into what might be bothering people. They pull out the cards and people start to make associations with the symbols and images they see and how they may relate to them in their life and what's going on in their life. So it's given different kinds of insights into the way that people think and the way that people's emotions function. So anyway, I'm not exactly an expert, but I do know enough to keep everybody kind of interested, and I'll share the information that I can verify and that is factual. I think it'll be really interesting to add it to the other things that I'm doing already on the channel, and you'll get to vote with your likes, I suppose. And if it doesn't seem to fly very good, then I'll just go back to sticking to my stories and call it good at that. Well, thanks for coming by tonight and listening to me and hearing me out. I hope to see you again on my channel sometime in the near future. You take care until next time we get together. Bye-bye.